Andy Jonge is telling us about his business psychology. And Jan, one thing you use a lot is the emotional intelligence guides.
Yes.
Is that something you use right from the start? And do you have a grading when you're interviewing somebody? Do you give them a 1 to 5 score?
In a way, yes. The way we often try to measure people's, whether it's an aspect of personality or someone's ability or someone's emotional intelligence, is by comparison, by the virtue of comparing someone's level by what's an average in a certain comparison group. And so you could imagine someone's style or someone's behavior or someone's way of being with, for instance, the same age group or the same gender or the same profession or with the general population, for instance. And so depending on who you compare that with, you might get slightly different answer. But yes, for instance, emotional intelligence, what we like to do is what's the word, nail it down more and understand what it is we actually are talking about when you talk about that very broad concept of emotional intelligence. I mean, even that term is a hotly debated subject among some people. But you talk, for instance, about the extent to which you have self-regard. The extent to which you have that is part of emotional intelligence, or the extent of your assertiveness, the extent to which you're able to assert yourself is part of it. The extent to which you are an independent person or are seen as a team player is part of it. Interpersonal relationships, level of empathy, the extent to which you have a sense of reality, the extent to which you live in the real world, or the extent to which you, on the opposite side, might live in a more creative world, in your own ideas, in your own thoughts. Those are all examples of emotional intelligence. Also impulse control. Some people are very impulsive, whereas some people are more guarded in the way they are spontaneous enough or decisive. All these, for instance, loads of different aspects of that big broad field of emotional intelligence. You can't just say Johnny is or Jack here is emotionally intelligent or not. We have to really define what we're saying. Some aspects you might be stronger on compared to that benchmark, and some aspects you might be weaker on, if to use that term.
I suppose that is determined by the job they're applying for. So somebody may be a wonderful candidate but not right for that particular job.
Yes. For instance, going back to a police person, he or she needs to have a reasonably level of emotional control, for instance. You have to be able to control your emotions, which requires some awareness of your emotions. And some people are more tuned into their emotions. Some people block it off until they crack and fall apart in some cases. Yeah.
Presumably, I mean, you were there in the mainstream police, but
yeah.
Presumably there must be a lot of counsellors or psychologists within police forces nowadays to watch out for this level. When does somebody crack, and try and meet them before that?
Although again, the first cushion, I guess, is the team, the colleagues, and that comes then back to training in any organisation. How are we there for each other? Do we know what to do when there are signs that people are unhappy or dissatisfied or frustrated?
They often say that the police or army personnel respect each other more than, say, a boss or an expert, dare I say, like yourself, because they could live or die by the support they give each other.
Yeah, I think there's a very cohesive, it's a band of brothers sort of idea, isn't it? It's us against them, because it's such a unique little world, isn't it? It's a very specific field that these people share very intense experiences with, so it creates a bond with a big wall around it. I guess is maybe the way to look at that. Yeah.
And I suppose to a lesser extent, most businesses want to get that kind of camaraderie.
Yes, I mean, gosh, I still sometimes miss that camaraderie, and the humour that was in that work was second to none, I would say. But
anyway, I keep coming back to the police. As I say, I think we all find it so fascinating. You just have to see the plethora of police programmes on TV. Mm-hmm. But just coming back to your own business, Jan, give us an idea of an employer was thinking, I need some help with employment.
Yeah, or selection.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, how would they contact you, and what kind of services can you offer?
I think the best way for me to be contacted is to perhaps go on our website. Am I allowed to mention the website?
Of course, yeah.
So it's People Business Psychology. If you type that in, you'll find our website, peoplebusinesspsychology.com, or even the .co.uk. It's both. It will direct.
And I found the easiest thing is putting your name into Google.
Yeah, I'll put my name into Google. You'll find me as well.
There aren't too many Jan de Jonges, are there?
Jan de Jonge,
Can you just
yeah.
spell your name, Jan?
So it's Jan is like Jan, J-A-N, and then de Jonge is 2 words, with D for Delta, E for England, and then a space, not a hyphen. I've had trouble with that in the past. I can't find my ticket on the flight because they put a hyphen there. So it's D-E space.
E for England, I love that.
J-O-N-G-E, so de Jonge with an E at the end.
At the end.
And then if you type in psychology Jan de Jonge, you'll find my website, and then just give me a call, I would say. There's a mobile number there, and often I'll be able to answer it.
So how do you like people to approach you? Do you have an initial meeting, a phone?
Yeah, I think I need
discussion?
to. I mean, it very much depends on the role. Recently, I helped one of the new university technical colleges, the UTC, not here, the one here, but the one in Salisbury.
Right.
I helped them with their recruitment, or selection, I should say, not recruitment, different things. The selection of their senior management team, and obviously that involved, some decent discussion with the principal there to find out from him what sort of persons were needed for that team. So yeah, it depends very much on what the requirements, or the parent requirements are, I should say, because sometimes requirements are there is more to it, or there's something more to it than initially meets the eye.
And what is this selection for senior personnel? Because you hear more and more there can be 2 or 3 interviews and they're all completely different.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, your question is?
With senior personnel, it's more than just 1 or 2 interviews. I mean, again, I'm relating back to the assessment centre.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are brought in a role play.
Yeah, for instance, you want, for instance, to be able to see that someone has a certain style of managing their members of staff. So we might put them in a situation where they have to, here comes that awful word, role play. And the idea is, our belief is that if we put someone in a situation where they have to demonstrate certain techniques or approaches, we can then reasonably, reliably make a judgment or an assessment as to the level of effectiveness of the way that the person deals with the situation. If I say to you, if you were my boss, and I say to you, look Jerry, I'm really stressed today, and depending on your answer to that, me saying that to you, will give me an indication, or the observer, the extent to which you are able to deal with my initial expression of whatever it is, unhappiness, distress. If I'm saying to you, Jerry, I'm really stressed today, then your response, it makes me either feel better or the same, or I run out and I say goodbye, and here's my notice. Yeah.
I suppose in an ideal organisation, again touching on your examples, maybe the team should all be looking out for each other.
Absolutely, but the trouble is, some people it's a natural thing to do that. Again, the emotional intelligence or personality traits. Some people are more caring than others. We're not all the same. Some people are in a caring profession because they love to care, literally. And some people want to be more on their own, or are more introverted, or more extroverted, or more into figures and hard facts. Some people are more into fluffy stuff, art, music, design, colours, straight lines, thick lines, crinkly lines, long-term strategy. Some people want to know what they're doing tomorrow. Some people like to be working in an ambiguous field where tomorrow is new and let's find out what we can do.
Yeah, the creative industries.
Yeah, so it's also about accepting that we're all different, I guess. But then that implies that we need to understand each other. That sounds a bit philosophical, doesn't it?
It does.
And a bit cheesy.
But
I'm giving up psychology.
You've now discovered after, 28 years?
That's a joke, by the way. Listeners, that's a joke.
But I'd imagine if companies are moving on, or downsizing, or even expanding, but going into different specialisms, then they need somebody to come and assess staff to find, can they move on with the company, or should they be looking elsewhere?
Yeah, that's always a more...
So rather than, rather than just make somebody redundant, presumably they're trying to help people find their niche, whether it's within that company or elsewhere.
Yeah, so that's, what do you call that? Not onboarding, the opposite of onboarding. Managing that whole process. It's often more, what's the word, contentious, or it can be more emotive. But if an organisation plans that ahead and anticipates it and communicates the situation of the company and the plans and the potential what's the word, problems with that, then I'm sure that that sort of decent approach can help to manage the whole process better.
Very much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So in a situation like that, how would an employer contact you? Just remind us of your web address and your phone number.
Yeah, so I would hope that anyone interested to talk to me about this, they contact me via our website, I should say. It's not just me involved. People, business, psychology, very easy 3 terms, because it's about, in my eyes, it's about people, it's about business, very much, the bottom line is important. That's why companies exist, to make money. In the first instance, I think, and then the idea is that the underlying foundation, in my perspective, is the psychology of people and the psychology of business.
And your phone number?
My phone number is on the website, but it's 078 335 46583. 078 335 46583. Yes.
I think if you sing that would help.
I used to be a singer in the band,
Right. Well, that's perfect. Yeah. Remember Esther Ranson that sang the number for the elderly people's helpline.
Thank you for your letters.
And she found that with a lot of the elderly it was easier. She could sing it; they could remember more.
Yeah. Oh,
she made a Childline.
Oh, 78.
Yeah, but it's more recently she did have a helpline for elderly people who were feeling lonely and cut off.
Yeah, so maybe I should sing it. 078 335 46583.
That's perfect, Jack, isn't it?